Except the speaker, you can mute all of them. Mute, Shankar. Okay, yeah.
So streaming started, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Very warm welcome to another edition of our evening talk of MMA. We have been getting some excellent feedback for the events which we have been doing for the last 2 months. In fact, last 1 month, we have been able to get some outstanding international speakers on different subjects talking, which is very, very relevant today. In fact, some of the people who told me that they're all looking forward to this in the evening, 6 o'clock, and they're not really worried about what are the serial coming in the television, because every day we have been able to bring you some outstanding talk, which is kindle your thought process, and you keep thinking something which is relevant today. That is what our objective actually. So one such topic where Dr. Rekha Shetty is not new to you. She's going to be talking to us on another important subject, which is very, very relevant today. Innovate, Reboot Profits, thriving the time of post-COVID-19. Before I call upon the speaker, introduce the distinguished speaker to you on the theme, let me briefly tell you what's happening in MMA next few days, so that you can watch this program in case you've been involved. And I also welcome all the viewers watching this program live on our MMA live webcast, MMA YouTube, MMA, our own channel of Facebook, in addition to that, Twitter, and also the people who are watching this program, listening to this program on MMA radio live, audio streaming. Because I've been seeing the number of people who are joining our audio streaming is going up day by day. So it's been very good. And Shankar, can you please mute other videos disturbing when, no? Okay, please. Thank you. Now, let me briefly tell you what's happening in MMA in next few days. Okay, now let me briefly tell you what's happening in MMA next few days. Besides today's event, and there's an excellent event coming up tomorrow. That is the same evening seminar for women. You all know we cancelled our women convention in the March due to COVID. Now that is we are doing it, rescheduling it today, tomorrow, some of the events, so that we keep the women engaged. The event is Women on the occasion of Independence Day. We are doing it on the Independence Day, marching ahead and the new normal. We have got some outstanding speakers who have joined us to speak tomorrow, starting with Viswanathan Anand, former Indian, former world champion chess, and also Indian Grandmaster. He's going to be talking to inaugural address, and he's going to be talking to about woman-centric, how you manage stress during the difficult time, and what some of the things he could do, and what he has done, how he has been able to help his wife Aruna working from home, and also now he's been come back after got stuck in Germany for a couple of times. You're going to have an interesting anecdotes tomorrow from Mr. Viswanathan Anand. You all know he's a great speaker. We'll walk miles to listen to him. Then we've got very power-packed 2 special sessions. The one session on advocating for yourself and others. We have the distinguished speakers include Ms. Kamini Singh, who is a CFO, Strategies and Sales from Wipro Limited. Maria Goretti is actor, chef, television host, Mumbai, very popular. And also Anu Hasan. Anu Hasan doesn't need introduction. You all know she's an actress, entrepreneur, motivational speaker. She has acted a number of Tamil movies. You all know. These 3 people are going to be talking to you tomorrow. They'll be in conversation with Ranjani Mani, who is a founder, chairperson of Global Adjustment. The second session, again, a very high power-packed session, managing stress in the next normal. Again, we have got 3 outstanding speakers. Ms. Vani Kola. Vani Kola is the founder, managing director of Kalari Capital. You all know one of the finance venture capital, done some more than 50 startups, doing extremely well. Then Wilfred Albur is a senior partner and global head of Roland Berger, and former managing director of Mercedes India. He's joining us from Chicago tomorrow evening, and they will be in conversation with Ms. Shweta Jaishankar, former Miss Femina, Miss India, Femina International, and a great author. So we got a very good speaker lined up tomorrow. Please not to be missed. Again, on the 14th, as I mentioned to you, MMA is launching one of the outstanding course, 24-week course. We are giving a diploma for all the people who are attending all the 24 weeks. And we are also facilitated this by some outstanding speakers, outstanding facilitators, who are all a master class, because they are the people who are running the businesses. You hear from them what exactly happening in the shop floor, what exactly happening in industry, and some of the managing directors of big companies are going to come and speaking to you, because this is the one which is a very, very unique model where we are bringing in the practitioner to come and speak to you for 2 hours for 24 weeks. I can assure you, we already got quite a good nominations. We are going to restrict this not more than 50 to 60 number. That's what the speakers, that's what the facilitator want. Now, the theme of the course is operational excellence towards business excellence. 24 weeks online course, and we are also giving a PG diploma certificate for the people who are attending all the 24 weeks. And I can assure you, if you attend the 24 weeks, you'll be more, you'll gain, your insights will change about overlook, because you are listening to the people who are practitioners in the field of thing. So, and this is getting inaugurated on the 14th morning at 11 a.m. by Mr. Balraman. Balraman is a former managing director of past president of MMA. Then on the 17th, again, not to be missed event, I'm giving some more time for some other people to join in. So I'll take another 2-3 minutes before I'll request the distinguished speaker to come and deliver the speech, which are all eagerly looking forward. On the 17th, we have Mr. Gurumurthy. Mr. Gurumurthy, chartered accountant, columnist, and is a political economic analyst and editor of Tuklak. He's going to be talking another very important subject, post-pandemic and the world and India. You all know Gurumurthy is one of the outstanding speakers. There's a lot of excitement. We're all eagerly looking forward to hearing him. Then on the 18th, we have Atul Vora. He's a regional director of Sterling Holding Company from Dallas, Texas, USA. He's going to be talking to on purposeful leadership. It's happening on the Thursday, on the Tuesday at 6 p.m. Why we scheduled it on Tuesday, not on Saturday, is because this coming Saturday, 15th August, is a holiday. So that's why we shifted, because we don't want you to miss some outstanding thought leaders. Then on Wednesday, the 19th, we have Pradeep Philip, Director General of Police, CBCID, Tamil Nadu. He's going to be talking to us on his book of Philippism, 333 Maxim. He's an outstanding Philip. He has written 3,333 Maxims. And we got some outstanding speaker again in this panel, where we Mr. Velumani, Managing Director of Thyrocare. You all know it's a great, outstanding speaker. Along with him, we have Barka Dutt. Barka Dutt, again, you know, she is going to be moderating the session with another outstanding speaker, like Krishnan. So we have again an interesting session on the 19th. Then on the Saturday, 22nd at 6 p.m., you have Sham Sundar Aditya, private investor and mutual fund distributor. He will be talking to us on psychology in investing, what prevents you from building wealth by investing in equity market. I'm only talking to you some of the important thing which is happening. All other programs, you all know, we also lined the program till October. We've got some outstanding speaker talking to us till October. Now, coming to today's event, Innovate, Reboot, Profits, Thriving in the time of post-COVID-19. And we have our own Dr. Rekha Shetty. You all know her very well. MMA knows her very well because she's been a part of MMA managing committee. She was the treasurer of MMA a couple of years back. And she's again one of the well-wisher of MMA. So whenever we ask, she doesn't say no. Whenever she asks, we don't say no. So that is why mutual consent today. She's here to talk to you on the very important subject. The content you all know, it's very something interesting. And we are doing the Chinnication Innovation Award. We got over 300 nominations for this Innovation Award in spite of the pandemic. Some of the brilliant, great ideas. Today, this difficult time, expect you to think differently, so that I've seen so many things have come where the people have really put in their innovative, creative mind in practice to come out of the difficult situations and make your life business comfortable, make your business comfortable to earn more profit for you. And she's going to share with you some important points where the innovation is very, very critical for you to survive and make in this COVID, not only survive, also reboot your profit. Let me have the privilege of introducing Dr. Rekha Shetty, because you all know her, but once in a while we get an opportunity to introduce one of the outstanding thought leader, author. Let me have the privilege of introducing Dr. Rekha Shetty. He's an innovating guru, best-selling author, entrepreneur, and original thinker in management and the social science, consulting for blue chip companies for the last few years. She founded the Mind Power brand 27 years ago, a rank holder in PhD from Madras University. She had written 11 books, mostly published by Penguin, and mostly also launched some of them by member of MMA, and a member of the syndicate of the renowned Anna University. She has a key corporate positions in companies like United India Insurance and Apollo Hospitals. Dr. Rekha Shetty is among the first women Rotary International governor in Asia. We are indeed very proud of you, madam. She had held several international Rotary positions in water, material, child health, and Dr. Rekha Shetty's original work on innovation has successfully integrated Western thoughts with the Eastern ethos of creativity and innovation, and left the footprints on life as all of us can, as you can. Thank you so much for really accepting invitation, Dr. Rekha Shetty. You're all looking forward to hearing your inspiring address. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm presenting to you Dr. Rekha Shetty to speak to you on the very, very important theme, Innovate to Reboot Profits, Thriving in Time of Post-COVID-19. Over to you, Dr. Rekha Shetty.
Thank you, Captain. What a nice, swift introduction. I want to welcome each and every one of you on this beautiful evening when all of us are gathered here to think about how to thrive rather than just survive during this pandemic. The time has come for an inflection in the history of humankind, kind of inflection which Darwin saw after great calamities and disorders. He said that when there is a huge upheaval, then the species begins to evolve. Pressure, calamity, disaster, all fall out for extraordinary feelings and extraordinary contributions by many people. I want you to consider, as it is here today, a caterpillar crawling slowly across the screen, a green caterpillar. What the caterpillar calls death, the butterfly is the result. What the caterpillar calls death, the master will call a butterfly. Caterpillar is afraid that it's going to die. It's not going to die, it's just going to become transformed. I think this is a time like this, the kind of transformational moment, the transformational instant at which point you can now become something completely different on a different plane. Take a seed. The Buddha was once asked, what is the greatest thing in the world? And the Buddha said, it is this little seed. It is a small mustard seed. And he said that this mustard seed, if it dies to being a seed, will become a huge banyan tree and bring forth millions of other seeds. A drop of water has the potential to become a rainbow. Maslow has told us about self-actualization. When human beings become the creature God created them to be, I believe that COVID-19 and the economic and social and absolutely broad brush changes which are happening to us right now will lead to a moment when we will be completely different, completely more evolved. It's not a question of going back to the old days. Even though it's just a few months, those are the old days. It is not a question of returning. It is a question of reviewing and re-engineering and changing and creating a new reality which is much better. When schools were washed away in the tsunami in Sri Lanka, people started rebuilding schools. They said, we don't want the old schools. We want something beautiful, something different. If we're going to rebuild, let's create something so much better than anything that was ever there before. So, ladies and gentlemen, I invite you to walk through, to fly over the wonderful new reality that you can create, if you wish, out of this post-pandemic. I want you to think about how your life has changed. I spoke recently. Look at this. Look at this. Face, eyes, and lips. This is what a cosmetic producer has come up with, a beautiful song on makeup. And, you know, it focuses on the pandemic. The pandemic tells you that you can get COVID only through the face, eyes, and lips. It's a beautiful song, and you can hear it on the net. What has happened is companies have started creating a new reality for what they want to say. This is really education. This is how we tell people how to protect ourselves during a pandemic in a way that is interesting and exciting. Masks, of course, have been everywhere. There have been a glamorous part of apparel in Venice where they had the mask balls, the masquerade in Brazil, and so many other cultures have been used to dramatize things. So I'm very sure that masks will become a method of enhancing one's look. I saw a beautiful picture today of a mask which will cost $1.5 million. The jeweler has created it. I don't know how it will be to wear, whether it will be heavy, but I'm very sure that masks will become a fashion statement as they have become in all the high fashion walkways of Paris. You see models wearing matching masks, and heads of state, women, have recreated the meaning of the mask by making it look so beautiful, and you wonder, why didn't I think of this before? And so I'd like to move on to what Alvin Toffler said. This was in the 70s. In Future Shock and later in the third wave, Alvin Toffler said that during the Industrial Revolution, people were dragged from their homes to be sacrificed on the altar of technology. They were dragged from their homes. For centuries, for many, many decades, for years, people had worked around their homes and did everything along with their families. But the factories, the Industrial Revolution, tore mankind away from a settled system and created something totally different. They were dragged to be sacrificed, unwilling victims on the altar of technology. That was Nehru. But today, and this is what Alvin Toffler foresaw, today people are going back to the same place which they left during the Industrial Revolution, the home. He spoke about the electronic cottage, home-centered society, where different members of the family help to do the work of corporations, of companies. Today, so many people have set up home offices and they find that it's much better than commuting 15 kilometers to the office. That is supposed to be the average commute, which takes 1.5 hours every day. It breaks into productive time. And so the electronic cottage is today something that has happened at an accelerated pace. And people are learning to grow with it, learning to work with it. You know, we had a picture of a chief executive of a company whose daughter kept trying to stop him from talking on Zoom. All this will happen, but then after a point, everything will fall into place. And people will wonder, why on earth did we do all these things in the past? And the electronic cottage, if you look at various possibilities that arise from working from where you are, you come to a very important innovation concept. Instead of the customer going to a place to buy a product, you have the product coming to the customer. Telemedicine is one of the examples. With telemedicine, I think at one point you're going to wonder, why on earth did I go to hospital and expose myself to all those nasty germs? I could have sat at home and got treated. You know, turn it upside down is a very important innovation concept. When I started working with Apollo in the 90s, everybody had to come to the hospital to be treated. But we found that people in factories, distant factories, ignored their symptoms and came to us at a very last stage. So we started setting up units, small hospital units, which operated on a particular day in different factories. So Tuesday, it would operate in one factory, and Friday, it would be somewhere else. So it's a kind of a mobile unit, medical unit, so that the service arrives at the doorstep of the customer. Of course, we see huge changes in the way everything is operating, particularly in retail. Very few of us now go to shop. Big Basket was there, struggling, but today Big Basket has been joined by a plethora of different companies. Even the neighborhood store has started delivering at home. And I feel this is a trend where the product will come to the customer and the customer will not have to spend any time going out to the product. I want you to consider what has happened to the whole process of online shopping. Like there are jewelers in many countries who are offering their products online in a way that you can almost, not really, but almost feel and touch that particular product. And I think with the arrival of new technologies, in the brave new world, we read about feelies, where when you're watching a movie, you can even feel the bare skin on which the girl is sitting. You can actually feel and touch it, the feelies. And what happened on screen, you could feel in your own body. And today, we have methodologies which are able to work on this thing. And I want you to consider that online shopping is something that has come to stay. Recently, there was a product which was sold in a huge teacup. It's a Chinese product where you could get a variety of beauty products and teas together in a big cup. And they say that all the whole inventory disappeared in less than a minute. In Australia, they have a package which puts together all the necessity, all the groceries a person needs at $80. All of you might be wondering what's happened to the cosmetics business. You know, they say when the economy goes into a downturn, people spend more time on cosmetics because somehow they want to feel better. And this has been called the lipstick index. I think we are on the brink of an eyeliner index for women. You know, suddenly eyes become so important with the use of the mask. Keep watching and you may find that huge differences are happening on highlighting particular parts of the body. The families of the future are going to be very different from the families that we now have. If we go back to some of the futurologists who have looked at the family of the future, they say single person families are going to become much more common. And there will be a child-free culture. I'm wondering whether this is nature's way of wiping out the human race, because obviously childless culture will reduce the possibility of a growing human population. But then for this, we have to wait and see. I feel as far as the pandemic is concerned, families have become much closer. They've been able to finally spend time on things which really matter, on talking about things, on sharing things for which nobody ever had enough time. And Zoom itself, I feel, is a wonderful medium to keep in touch with the extended family, a family which reaches out across the globe. One of the sad things I feel is something we have to ponder about, and that is suddenly the whole culture has become high-tech and low-touch. Low-touch. You don't go in to shake hands. Maybe some of the leaders are bumping fists, they're touching elbows, but gone are the days when hugs and shaking hands was the best way of. But these are all changing patterns, and these are patterns where we will find a solution. You know, the thing about human beings is they are highly adaptable. When there's a problem, we find solutions. And that's what we're finding now. Like, let's go to the hospitality industry. The hospitality industry, no, before that, probably the gym. You know, there are so many online services. My neighbor, who's in her late 70s, does Tai Chi regularly with her online trainer. And digital fitness services are available for anybody who is serious about emerging from this pandemic in a completely wonderful manner, so that everybody wonders, how did this happen? And I want you to think about the hospitality industry. I had a very personal example recently. I had called a friend, and her son was in the travel business. He said, are you interested in going on a holiday? And he told me how families are now going away to the ECR to little cottages where they can be with the family, and they can, children can run around and stay there and have a holiday which is within reach. So he says, I can even arrange an SUV so that everybody can go with proper physical distancing. I don't call it social distancing. I think it's physical distancing. People stay apart, and they found ways to stay apart. The ambassador is back. I'm really looking forward to the good old ambassador. The kind of cars which are going to come into the market, which will become popular, are now. So going back to the hospitality industry, you can have a whole wedding dinner or a sadhya organized in your home with a butler, with all the frills, the candles and the serviettes and lacy tablecloth and everything else, is done in a safe manner in your own home. See, distance, I would call it the death of distance. This pandemic is going to show us the death of distance. Everything will come to wherever we want it. And we can enjoy it in the same way. Of course, this cannot replace what you feel when you go to a particular place. I think not. For instance, Capri, which used to have huge tourism flows, solved the problem by saying that if you have all your papers, come to Capri and we will pay your hotel bills, food, and hospital stay if you get COVID, which you will not. And they're finding that is true because they're following all the processes which are required to keep people safe. One of our nephews took his family of 3 children and went to Goa. And they came back safely and quite happy. They went to one of the big resorts, but it had a cottage and they were at this cottage. I want you to look at the attitude which is going to, really create the new future, which will enable you to thrive in the new future. Amazon, for instance, has recruited 50,000 new people, and they are talking about, see, it's not that jobs are going to be lost. What is going to happen is jobs are going to become different. Like a fine dining restaurant in New York, the CEO called all his employees and he said that you're going to have a job, but you're going to have another job. We are going to deal in taking meals to people, going to places where people are hungry. They're going into packaging, into cooking. So if you were a waiter, you may be doing another job, but you're going to keep your job. Many companies are finding solutions like this. Going back to restaurants, I saw a beautiful picture of what happened during the Spanish flu epidemic, 1918 to 20. These epidemics are not new. We've had it right through human history. Of course, the Black Death, which started in the 13th century and ended up, in the late 18th century, 30 so many centuries when people were afraid of the Black Death. And 1/3 of the population of the world was wiped out. Same thing happened during the Spanish flu. But when we think about it, We survived that. 9/11 totally transformed the airline industry. 9/11 made travel different, but we were able to solve the problem. Water. What's happened to sports? Sports has become something completely different. All the sports are being played, but they're being played in front of audiences on television, NBC, football, basketball. Basketball, not so much. Football. Everything is happening. But the really big events, like the Tokyo Olympics. Tokyo Olympics is not happening. It's been postponed, and it's still going to be called the Olympics of the 2020. I'm going to now request that we start questions, and I'll go back to my presentation a little later.
Thank you, madam. All the people who are watching the program on our Zoom, please share your questions. Similarly, people who are watching the questions on YouTube, YouTube or Facebook, send your question through WhatsApp. I think Madam Rekha Shetty is more than happy. Let me see how many questions have come. In the meanwhile, I got a lot of questions. I think I see from the chats a lot of good evenings and well done. So if you have any questions, please just type your question. Meanwhile, I will go to the questions what has come from YouTube viewers. Now, one of the questions which has come, you said the habits got changed with the people because COVID is an opportunity for people to understand. Now, I know the couple of people who had converted their existing garden, started producing organic vegetables and organic things. People have used their talent to make some food and share it with the neighbors and other people and make some quick money, make some money rather than keeping. Yoga classes started at home where the people are doing. Do you mean to say this innovation is okay because we have a pandemic, we have got social distancing? Do you think it will continue? Because can the people invest on this line because the habits of people also change once the vaccine has already been found in Russia? So what is your view of how will the people should take calculated risk on these investments which they'll be doing for the short term returns?
See, I think we think it will be for the short term, but that's not how it's going to be. I feel we'll find so many things are much better that we will continue doing that in the future. For instance, I've heard of a whole club meeting and then all the food is Dunzoed to them. You know, Dunzo delivers the food and they all eat together but in their own home. Like if you look at Dr. Fauci, you know, he's the top infectious disease expert in the US. He was saying that, you know, people were getting together, but in a very different way. Like he called two of his friends home. All the food was ordered from outside in packages, and they sat at the proper social distance, and they had a lovely evening in the open air together, and they ate together. So, you know, people will adapt to whatever is available. I saw another wonderful video of children hugging their grandparents with a proper, it was a plastic wall with hands which go through, you know, the kind of wall which is the kind of PPE which is used by people who are taking swabs for COVID. So both the hands come through. So there are two sets of hands and the grandparents are hugging the kids because they say older people are very vulnerable to the pandemic, and this is the thing. So I feel what is going to happen is we have to find a way where you invest and you can carry it into the future. I don't think all these things will go away suddenly. I feel these pandemics are here to stay. because, if it's not this one, maybe another one, but our whole attitude to life, I feel, is going to change. So it's okay. I think it's okay to invest, of course, carefully in the new technology. But if you look at all the digital businesses, they have all zoomed ahead, because what is happening today is something that would have happened, but at a much slower pace. What's the next slide? I can carry on with my presentation, having had my drink. Are there any questions?
Maybe you would like to take one more question before we move to the presentation, madam?
Okay.
Can I ask one more question?
Okay, sure.
This question is a little technical in terms. They say how the concept is conceived in brain and how it grows into an idea. As a creative person, how will I trigger, yes, this is an innovation which is conceived in my mind, I must convert it into an idea. So how the process works? So you are an innovation specialist, done so many people, so many books you've written. Maybe you will be able to give some advice. How do I know, yes, this is the innovation which I got in my mind and my brain is telling it's innovation. How I convince my art, yes, I must go forward and take the risk.
See, the first idea is a creative idea. Turning a creative idea into innovation requires lots of organizational energy, and it requires a lot of people to work together for it to be, for it to achieve speed to market. So let's say you have an idea, and it sounds like a very good idea. The first thing is to tame that idea. A new idea is like a wild animal wandering around in a sanctuary. So you will have to ensure that idea is protected, because a new idea in the beginning is very, very tender and germinal. You can't really kick it around all that much. For instance, if you have an idea which says zero cost, doing a product with zero cost, that idea has to be first developed by a group of people. And, you have to take it through a process of development, and analysis. It has to be analyzed, because finally the idea which will result in the innovation has to be something which is objectively possible. It has to be something where you remove all the unusable parts of the idea. Just to give you give you a vision of what this is. Michelangelo was once asked, how do you create these beautiful statues? Michelangelo created the most fabulous statues, the statues in Rome. If you see some theater, Mother Mary carrying the dying Christ in her arms, you can actually see the blood pulsing within the vein, and the way, life is seeping away from the body of Christ. So when he was asked that, he said, come and look at my workshop. And in the workshop was a huge block of marble. It was dirty, it was chipped, it was muddy. And he said, within this block of marble, in fact, within every block of marble, there lies a statue waiting to be liberated by the touch of the master's hand. I think an innovation starts as a creative idea which looks impossible. Then what you do is you remove all the impossible parts and then come up with something that really works. I don't know if I've answered the question, because I'm
brilliant, madam. Very good. And let's move on to your presentation. Maybe we'll come back to you with more questions where you can really, your answers, your input will be really enriching for our participants. Over to you, madam.
And so coming to this whole thing of sports, the slide which you're now looking at is about how huge groups of people come to a central area where they can pick up their products. Like today, people don't like to go into shops, so they pick it up from a window. They go to a window and they drive past and they pick it up. And crowd, you know what happened at Kottaval Chowdi, where there were big crowds, and it's very, very difficult to manage huge crowds and COVID. And today so many ideas have come into place, and the government is working on making this possible. They say only wholesalers can come, and they have to have appointments, and things like that, like crowdfunding to bring together uh, huge numbers of gifts is another thing which happened previously. Uh, the breweries go back. Breweries work together. No, Nick. Breweries work together. No, no, no. Breweries work together with hotels, and they put together a package where when a person bought one drink, he could get another drink free. And another example of what happened in Barcelona. Barcelona, wedding shopping is the most expensive and the most high profit area that is possible. So, boutique, uh, bridal boutique in Barcelona came up with the idea of having your own personal coach who could help you to wear whatever, come up with whatever you wanted with correct, with tailoring changes and all that. And this bridal boutique had many employees. Each of the employees started their own unit using the digital display system, and everybody could sell to individual customers, all of them on by appointment. Jewelry stores are doing the same thing. They're getting together. They're allowing their employees to work digitally with customers on appointment. See, I think what's happened is, on the whole, customers will get a much better deal. They'll get exactly what they want. If you look at what Tuffy does for its farmers when they sell tractors, they are able to go to the they were able to go to the store and come up with their own gadgets depending on what kind of farming they were doing. Like where they rice farmers, where you had to work in uh, heavily puddled areas, or where they sugarcane farmers, and they could come up with a tailor-made tractor. Working together, they could come up with a tailor-made tractor. Sometimes the company also came up with suggestions, so that finally the customer got exactly what he wanted and not put up with whatever was there. I believe that this period of the post-COVID time is a time when you will have fantastic capacity for self-knowledge. You, for years, people have been so busy with everything outside themselves. They very rarely time to think about what's going on inside. The knowledge of self, a chance to review your life. They say when a person dies, at that moment he's able to review his whole life, in the few moments before he passes on to the next life. I think this is the time like that. You're able to look at your whole life, understand yourself, see what is really important to you. Maybe like Socrates, when he was taken to a shop by one of his disciples, you're going to look at everything and say, so many things which I don't need. To just look and review at your own wardrobe, and look at your own house, look at your own life, you will see how cluttered it is and how many things there are that you don't really need. So this period is a time of self-knowledge, a time of self-discovery, a time of understanding others who are close to you, who have believed in you and waited for your time. Children are the happiest during this time. Of course, they miss school, and the digital medium has not become as exciting as it can become in the future. No, we should not judge the digital medium as it is now at this moment. It's going to become much more exciting, much more interactive, much more wonderful than anything we have imagined. But children today have full-time attention, maybe not full-time, but a lot of attention from their parents. And the family unit itself will become something very different from what we have seen before. And You may wonder this mask, how terrible to be wearing a mask all the time. 1918 to 20, I saw beautiful pictures of society ladies wearing a transparent uh, cone on their faces. And they looked even more beautiful. The face was actually highlighted by this. But can you imagine anybody wearing anything like that after the years of the Spanish flu? No, because the need was not there. In this case, we are not sure what's going to happen. But one thing is there, every hospital, every government unit, every primary health center is going to become so much better than it ever was. This is going to be a fast track time for uh, underdeveloped economies, for hospitals which were so substandard all over the world. They're going to have a chance to improve themselves. Because if we don't improve hygiene and sanitation, the result is going to be death. So when you're faced with death, I think a lot of things become far more relevant and useful. You begin to realize what is really important, what is special, and what is critical. And just a few days after the lockdown started, I saw a picture of a restaurant where two people were eating within transparent cones. They were sitting in front of each other. They could see each other, but they were within a protective cone. Very similar to what I saw the ladies wearing during 1918. I'm really looking forward to the period after this pandemic. I'm really looking forward to how our industries are going to prepare themselves for, maybe we're not going to have huge factories. Maybe the investments are going to be for smaller units around, local hubs. But I'm very sure, certain, that everything will change for the better. Already we are seeing that companies are able to move back into the space they were on before. This is because they have been able to change according to the challenges that are facing us. So challenges are great. Challenges are something that prevents us from becoming stagnant. I feel for many years we've become so stagnant. Everything was on autopilot. You did everything without thinking. But today you have to think through everything, even if it is something as simple as getting a tire change for your car, if we got it done today. You have to think how to protect yourself, how to ensure that when you come back, the car is safe again. So many things you have to think of. Your mind becomes nimble, mind becomes capable of solving problems. And I feel this is an evolutionary moment for a better, greater human race, a better, greater world. I'm now going to ask you to ask to go into question ask. We have half an hour of questions.
Mohan, will you do the slide share? You want to change it? Any more slides are there? Presentation by
I
Madam
want to change it and I want to speak directly.
Okay, good, ma'am.
Can I be put on the
Yes. Speaker's view, Shankar. Thank you so much, madam. Great insight. You really traveled around the world to show what's happening in the field of innovation, what one should be doing. The number of questions have come, and I will read out to you as and when it comes. There's a question which has come from Mr. Sridhar. He's asking, diagnostic has not improved to function from remote. We need this, how to have a real telemedicine facility at home. Will we get sooner? Because what he's telling is absolutely correct, because many a time you do a diagnostic, but the touch and feel of certain things by the doctor, and I think that's very, very important. Do you think that telemedicine can take you change the way we used to visit the doctor and get the personal opinion?
See, we're not used to doctors not touching us. The touch of the doctor, they say kairasi. We're used to that. But what the new medicine is going to be is going to be a mix of touch and click. Like, I think what will happen is, as we move into the future, see, doctors are seeing patients. Like, you go into a hospital, a doctor will see you, but he is wearing PPE from top to, from, they look like people from Mars, completely protected. And doctors are seeing patients. COVID patients are being seen, surgeries are being done. Pranab Mukherjee right now is struggling for his life in an ICU. See, diagnostics, already people have started adjusting. Man came to take a COVID test for my husband. The thing is, today, every small cough or cold, we think it's COVID. So this person came, he was in full PPE. He came in, he was in full PPE. He asked, he took the test, and it was so safe. You could see that it was safe. It was done by listeners.
I think this also will get evolved over a period, because this now we started telemedicine. Those telemedicines were there for remote places. I know Upload Telemedicine and done some phenomenal work. He gave a presentation in MMA where they are able to go where the doctors cannot go. Now here is a situation where the patient cannot come. The COVID is preventing. I think we'll come up with more innovations are required. That's where I think technology.
I think innovations will happen in the biological areas. Maybe tests can be done just by you're pressing a particular spot. Perhaps people can study the whole body's mechanism by checking your eye. They say, looking at the eye of a person, you can find out. So recently I read a wonderful new technology where you can find out if a person is having COVID by making him talk and analyzing his voice. Can you imagine? He doesn't have to go there. He doesn't have to have a blood test. He speaks, and the technology translates that into sound waves, where they're able to identify whether the person is going to have COVID or some other disease. I'm sure methodologies are going to be found and changes are going to happen, which we can't even imagine today. If you can find out things from voice, if you can find out things from touch, lots of new and modern technologies will happen to make telemedicine more usable, more relevant. But I do agree. I also grew up in a generation where we're used to doctors touching us. But today, many doctors don't touch you at all. All the diagnostics.
They're also scared. Thank you, madam. Yes, it's mutual. Thank you, madam. It's a great thing. And there's another question which is always been asked whenever the innovation talks are there. One is on risk taking. Other one is on learning from the failures. Now, on these two aspects, under the present pandemic, when the chips are down, the entrepreneurs are feeling difficulty in terms of cash flow and so many issues. So, how do these two things can be balanced by an entrepreneur in terms of risk-taking abilities and also learning from the failures?
See, the process of innovation does not involve risk. If you follow the process, see, first you state the problem, then you generate a number of ideas, and then you incubate, then you analyze. See, when you analyze, you use the parameters. You spend a lot of time in the thinking process and involving all your teammates in the process. And in the process of analysis, you de-risk whatever you're going to do. You de-risk the innovation. Just like I gave you the example of this, the statue, where you remove everything that is not statue. You will remove everything which does not work based on your parameters. So in my book, innovation is not risky. It is a de-risk creative idea. It has to be de-risk. Only then you can put it traction. Only then it can impact your balance sheet. A lot of people think innovation is you get an idea and you leap into that idea and start doing things. No, you don't do that. You have the idea and you go through a total process of de-risking, where everybody gets a chance to remove whatever is not usable. You look at wild ideas like zero cost, like doubling revenues, zero rejection. And then you de-risk the idea. You don't do it unless it is completely de-risked. So that is my answer for
Brilliant,
risk
brilliant,
taking.
madam.
Innovate
Thank you,
is
thank
not
you.
taking.
Brilliant, madam. Now,
And second
we
one,
have a question from Mr. Balachandran. What do you want to know? What are the views of impact of corporate employees exposure in the new normal? How their performance need to be transformed during COVID-19? It's not on innovation, but more in general. What is your take on this? How do you? What's your word of advice to the corporate employees? How can they really take their performance next level during difficult times?
see, in the past, people used to think that I must have all the workers sitting there. I should watch them every minute. I should tell them how many times they should move their hands and total control. But today, you have a man sitting in Vietnam, and he is managing the whole of Asia, sitting in Vietnam. He's got one computer in his house. See, people are thinking, alive, intellectual, mental, emotional creatures. If they're inspired, they can do so much more. When you treat them like a cog in the wheel, I mean, this is the old story. Cog in the wheel, there's limited amount they can do. Suddenly, you have an opportunity where you deal with your whole workforce like thinking, intelligent, inspired people. And you have to give them jobs that inspire them. Give them the feeling of craftsmanship, which the assembly line took away from them. I feel it's a great opportunity to create a different set of people working alone without supervision, working because they're inspired, because they love the organization and they love their work. Have I
Super.
answered it?
Yes, yes. Super, madam. Now, we also got a very interesting question from Mr. Manigandan. He says a study says 15% of patients in hospital due to some medical error. How do you hospital ensure zero defects in patients' care when we move to telemedicine? This is quite a serious matter because the people suffer if some wrong diagnosing happen. A country like India, it's okay, people get away. In Western countries, it's a serious issue in terms of insurance and they sue.
I think more than quality systems, you need quality human beings. Kanaka, the great Kanakadasa, spoke about killing a patient with medicine. He said an untouchable is a person who kills a patient with medicine, with the wrong medicine. And what I'd like to say is, in my life, many doctors are noble, wonderful souls, and they look after the patients as though that patient was their own mother, sister, or child. But there are people who don't operate like that. See, quality in medicine is so human-based and depends so much on the quality of the human being that, human beings will be quality human beings only when they're inspired. Only when they believe and love with passion, only then will they be able to do what Mr. Manigandan is asking. And this is also always a difficult thing. There are people I know from Vellore, the Vellore Medical College produces some extraordinary service-minded people who go and work with lepers. So I asked this person, why did you go there, spend your whole life in Karigiri? He said, that is my mission in life. See, people should take up jobs and we should ensure that the people who study medicine are people who love mankind, who really want to serve and give themselves, because the greatest gift that you can give another person is a gift of yourself, a gift of your love, a gift of your time. So I feel when you choose people to study medicine, it shouldn't be because they have lots of money. It shouldn't be because they have high marks. It should be because they have the proper quality of mind to love and serve.
There's a question from Mr. Balakrishna. Yes, Mr. Balakrishna. He says, what are the new industries likely to come up after this pandemic? I mean, what do you want to know? Where the people should look for opportunities during the pandemic, and being an innovator consultant, which area you think should people focus now today to take their business or take their ideas to the next level?
I think there's a huge opportunity in working with elders. The whole atmosphere is such that elders are vulnerable. They have to be protected. And so there's a huge opportunity, demographic opportunity, as far as elders are concerned. You're saying there's a huge opportunity in digital education. There's not enough good software available to teach, to train teachers to teach children. This again is something which requires the best brains to make digital education more exciting, to make teachers digital friendly and capable of using this material for greater good. There are so many opportunities which will arise of uh, understanding customers. I think analytics is an area where which has huge potential, because you'll be actually serving customers at a very intimate level, going to the customer's doorstep. And so business analytics is something which I would encourage people to study. Of course, entertainment, uh, home entertainment is going to be something that will provide a lot of opportunity. And who knows, Elon Musk is saying that we'll be settling down on the moon and moving to Mars. We don't know what the future holds. They say a seminar was held in London in the early 19th century. And the subject of the seminar is, if the number of horse-drawn carriages keeps on increasing, how will we get rid of the horse dung? You know that the minute the automobile came in, the horse-drawn carriages became obsolete, and nobody was worried about that problem anymore. A lot of our problems will disappear, new problems will come up, and I think we have to wait and see. But we have to imagine. We have to reimagine our future of our economy and our future of our life. We need imaginers in government to prepare for the future, to create the future. We should not be unwilling victims. We should now reimagine the future, re-engineer our lives to suit that future and create the future, because leaders create the future. They don't try to struggle and react to it.
True, man. Absolutely true. I wish Elon Musk does come with that reaching the moon soon. People avoid coronavirus and reach up there. If they get into coronavirus, they're in deep trouble. The next question, which has come from one of our YouTube viewers, we have more than 1,000 viewers are watching this program on our social media portals. The question is how to avoid reverting to the cumbersome and cautious legacy practices and risk-averse decision making that had hobbled innovation performance in many organizations. What's your few tips to this organization?
You mean decision making is not fast enough?
Fast enough. No, they're risk averse decision. They don't take risk because of the risk involved. They are averse to decision making actually.
See, not taking a risk will be the greatest risk, because suddenly you will become obsolete. You will not be relevant anymore. My father used to tell me the story of a man called Dr. Shetty. Mangalore and Udupi, there are 5 rivers which you have to cross. And it was very cumbersome, like you have to reach the river, take a boat, keep going. It was very difficult. Till Mr. Dr. Shetty started a bus service, a service using horse-drawn Victorias, luxurious, beautiful Victorias. And everything was, like Captain Vijay Kumar's timing, it's always to the dot. So the carriage would come to the river, the boatmen would be waiting, they would take the person across the river, carriage would be waiting. It was absolutely a wonderful system and worked for almost 20 years till the first motor car and the first bus started running from Mangalore to Odisha. They say that Dr. Shetty, who had got all the young people in his village, trained them and created this wonderful corporate organization, committed suicide, they say. Or maybe he died of a broken heart. But people who do not take risks are at the greatest risk today. And I'm saying that you can reduce the risk in innovation by de-risking what you're going to do through the process itself. You don't have to take risks. You'll have to think, and that's the toughest thing.
Brilliant. I remember once you mentioned you take risk, put sufficient safety net around you, then you can do that. There's a question which has come from Mr.
Yes.
Venkateshwaran. Large-scale manufacturing brings in cost advantage. The question from Venkateshwaran is, Madam, large-scale manufacturing brings in cost advantage. If smaller factories are to be the norm, will they not lose the competitive advantage and make lower profits? What's your advice to this sort of companies?
See, you won't lose the competitive advantage because everything, you're going to purchase everything at the supply chain will be the same. People will get together in smaller hubs and do their work in smaller hubs. And a lot of your costs will come down because people provide their own space, they'll pay their own rent. Imagine a series of electronic cottages dotting the landscape instead of everybody working in one place. It may actually reduce your cost.
Super. Now, I think we got another 10 minutes. I'll squeeze in as many questions as possible. A lot of questions will come. Some questions are relevant to innovation. Some questions are generic. So we try and ask the questions which are more relevant to innovation. And so if I not ask your question, please bear with me. The next question is, how will innovation...
possible to send me the questions? I can answer it.
The entire chat box I'll share with you. The printout, madam. All the questions I'll share with you. Now, there is also a question, how will innovation be centralized or embedded throughout the organization? How will it be resourced and staffed? And how will it impact and measured? So, because you've written so many books on innovation process and step-by-step approach. So, this is a question which has come, how this can be implemented in your simple words.
See, all of us have used multiplication tables. They are the mathematics. It's mathematics. See, to embed innovation in each and every person and to make it part of the corporate culture, turning a creative idea into an innovation is based on a system of thinking tools. So people learn the mathematics of innovation, which are the thinking tools. There are 47 thinking tools which I've developed over the last 22 years. Everybody in the organization can learn the thinking tools. They can learn a way of being with each other, which inspires creativity and fosters innovation rather than reduces people's ability to think out of the box. So this should be embedded like a chip into every person's learning process. I feel it should happen even in college. People learn the formula for, formula and innovation sound like they're two different things. But in my practice, I've found that a group of people can learn formula which will help them think out of the box on demand. There's no use getting great ideas once in your lifetime. Everybody will do that. But to get creative ideas on demand, you use the thinking tools. And the thinking tools will enable groups of people to be fluent, to come up with many great ideas, and then go through the process of incubation and analysis. So everybody in the group analyzes and picks the best idea. See, the thing is, every problem has 100 solutions, and it's your right to look at all these alternatives and come up with the best one. Thinking tools are the way ahead. If everybody learns thinking tools, 47 thinking tools, I believe that the culture of innovation can become embedded in every Indian. And what a great thing that will be. Carl Sagan has said that every human being has the capacity to store the equivalent of 7,550 volumes of Encyclopedia Britannica. Every human being. And India, with its 1.3 billion people, would be, nothing else would matter, because people not complaining, but actually solving problems on the ground. I think we have to use systematic approaches to the process of innovation, which nobody is doing. I don't know why it is. Most thinkers ask you to think out of the box, like using a process like which is called sense thinking versus marble palace thinking. Many modern companies have been developed by creating structures which are temporary, which can be easily dismantled. Like you look at ICICI Bank, when they started their huge growth path, they used the spaces of people who had extra space, like schools, community halls. And right after that, they quietly moved into ATMs. But the first huge number of branches were created by using a policy where they went to a school and they said, we'll take care of all your banking needs, just give us a room. The Microsoft operation in Hyderabad, huge operation, everything is paid for by Microsoft and it's fully automated. Zero rent for ICICI Bank. See, I think the time has come to make thinking out of the box and taming of wild ideas an everyday occurrence instead of a once in a lifetime occurrence.
I think yes, taming of ideas is very important. In that connection, Mr. Manigan wants to know, you suggested a book on learning the 40 thinking tools. I think they should read all the books which are written on innovation. Maybe you would like to suggest some books for 40 thinking tools, madam?
Yeah, I think they should read Innovate, 90 Days to Transform Your Business, which is a bestseller by Penguin. And, in that you can see all the 47 thinking tools. But Innovate happily tells you how to create innovation in your life. Then Happy Street tells you how to innovate your own streets and create a happy community. I've applied it to down to earth everyday situations, like creating a happy street means recreating a clean and beautiful village on your own street. Like this is the ideal time for Swachh Bharat. Communities, neighbors can get together and create the ideal street. If every person takes responsibility for their own street, imagine what will happen to this country, what will happen to our cities. We have experimented in this book, which is called A Happy Street, which I recommend you read. This time is a fantastic time to have clean and beautiful streets. They say that today, from Delhi, you can see the Himalayas. They say the Ganga is finally becoming clean. I don't know what's happening to the comb. I've not looked recently. The comb, people used to have a bath. They used to use it for religious purposes. The founder of Pachapaz College used to bathe in it every day. And look what's happened to it just because it flows through Madras. Even now at the source, for 22 kilometers, there's a pristine, beautiful river. I feel the pandemic is great for the environment, and we need to start looking at this thing that trees have been in this universe for 100 million years. Insects have been there much longer. The creatures of the ocean have been there for so many million years, and mankind, we've been there only 5 million years, but we think everything should be done for our benefit. And it is a selfish attitude that is almost destroying the planet, and Elon Musk is talking about going to Mars. Because it's imminent. The inconvenient truth, Al Gore wrote. You can see it on every street. So why can't we use this time to clean up our streets? Read The Happy Street. You'll like it. And also, Innovate Happily is a book written based on creating clean, happy country based on the Bhutan experiment. I think you'll enjoy some of these books. Just go to Amazon, you can get it. You can go to my website, mindspower.com. Don't forget the S. If you forget the S, you may go to some other, I think you go to some French website. I have nothing to do with it.
Thank you, madam. I still distinctly remember the two books which we discussed in MMA and launched. One is Orbit Shifting Innovation by Rajiv Narang and Devika, where they really thought about the dynamics of ideas of that create history in innovation. That's one thing. Another book I vividly remember is by Dr. Gopal Krishnan, former executive of Tata Sons. He's written a book on
Yeah.
biography of innovations from birth to maturity. I think which you were also there when he spoke in MMA. There are a number of books, and if you have been attending MMA program, you would have known more books actually. But notwithstanding, these books are available in the library. I think last two questions I'll take. I think we got another 5 minutes. I'll squeeze in these two questions. No, one of your Facebook viewers want to know, any thoughts how the government can play a major role as countries are collaborating more now? Operations are collaborating, entrepreneurs are collaborating. Any thought how the government can really actually support this initiative of collaboration in the field of innovation?
The government has an innovation council. I feel every single sector in this country needs to learn the 47 thinking tools, needs to learn how. See, everybody says innovate. They don't tell you how to innovate. See, the how is very, very critically important. We believe in innovation. We talk about innovation. Prime Minister, is requesting everybody to come up with new ideas, but there is no systematic method by government to ensure innovation, to reward innovation. And somebody asked about failure. See, in every experiment, there is only feedback. There is no failure. So you should conduct your experiments on a smaller scale so that you can get the proper feedback and then proceed. Even when you're innovating on the run, you get a product to the market and then you innovate based on customer feedback. I think you should start small and then replicate. I feel in many cases, starting too big and moving too fast can cause a crash. And I want to say to you that over the last 23 years, I've focused entirely on this one subject of innovation. If I've written 11 books on the subject, it is based on solid research, which I used for my, it started with the PhD thesis. All of you should do a PhD. It's a great way to think deeply about your subject, whatever it is. It forces you to look at what's happening around you and gets into you an attitude of learning and understanding. So I want to say that government is a critical partner in this. And I think this COVID experience has shown that government can be innovative. What they've done with the healthcare system, the mobile vans, the kind of contact tracing they're doing, I think we have neglected government and not had enough respect for government. Government definitely can be a wonderful partner, as can learning institutions like the Madras Management Association, Chambers of Commerce. Time has come for us to unite and create the great country which our people visualize, a country where everything that's negative should quit India. Negative things like corruption, stagnation, lack of respect for each other, all this should just quit India. And I think we should start on a do or die mission, which will achieve the India which our children and grandchildren deserve. Captain?
One last question before we let you go, madam. What are the most important business assets to have in place in this type of the world? What are the most resilient creative business doing right now?
Could you, I didn't get it back.
This question, what he wants to know is, what are the most important business assets to have in place in this type of world, in the present pandemic and present situation? And what are the most resilient creative businesses doing right now? Where you think the resilient creative business one can really look at it for a great opportunity?
See, all digital businesses are doing well. All businesses which can convert part of the activity to clicks are doing well. I think the most important thing which businesses should have is, of course, the most important thing, one of the most important things, which is profits. People should look carefully, because if you don't make profits, I feel you'll cut corners in everything, and the customer and the employees will suffer. So businesses should focus tightly on profit. They should stop doing all the things that don't add value. And the greatest focus should be on involving everybody, getting employees to be participants rather than spectators, getting everybody inspired to achieve great things and rewarding them in the same manner. I think proactive, you know, methods of work, planning carefully with everybody. Participation is going to be the key, I think, because people are going to operate without supervision. Participation, online learning, rewards for great work. All these things are going to add to create the company of the future. It will be lean, mean, and innovative. Not mean, kind and innovative.
Madam, the clarity is not there. Yes. Thank you so much, madam. I think we had a little bit of audio issues, but now it's fine. Are you able to hear me?
Oh, yes.
Yes. Thank you so much. You have been patiently answering all the questions, and your thought-provoking address on innovative reboot profit thriving the time of post-COVID-19 must have kindled the thought process of so many people who have watched that program. It's really large number of students. We have more than 1,000 people are watching various social media portals. Thank you for sparing your valuable time to be with us this evening to share your insights on the subject, which is really we feel at MMA it's very critical for the businesses to grow and people to start thinking differently. So I only urge upon all the people, please keep watching MMA events. You will become more innovative, you will get more ideas, and you will become more prosperous in terms of your businesses as well as otherwise. Now, thanks so much, Rekha Shetty madam, for your presence. Indeed, grateful to you. And all the members who have joined this program live on Zoom and all other channels, YouTube, Facebook, our webcast, and also all those who have watched live on our audio streaming. Thank you so much. Your presence really encourages to bring you some outstanding program. Just to remind you before we close, please do log in tomorrow at 5:45 p.m. We have already got a couple of thousands of people. I expect more than 20,000 people to watch tomorrow evening. The event for our women, which you are doing on the occasion of Independence Day, marching ahead the next normal. And please do come and listen to Viswanathan Anand, former world chess champion. He's going to be talking to us how you are going to manage during this COVID time, some of the stress-free life, what you're going to do. Nobody could be better than Mr. Viswanathan Anand to speak to you how to manage stress, especially when you're adversity. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to have you this evening. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay calm, and keep learning and keep laughing, keep enjoying. And bye-bye till we meet again tomorrow evening. Good night. Thank you again, Rekha Shetty. Good night and
Thank you,
bye-bye.
Captain.